Hello friends, this is Dr. Pankaj Kumar, your mentor, and in this session we will be talking about parturition and lactation. You know very well, this is the thing that is happening once the entire female reproductive system is over, and we are just going to talk about that how a baby is going to be born, right? So first thing, let's talk about the very process of lactation. Now how lactation happens, Actually, these are entire things are the interplay of the hormones. Okay. So we know very well, shortly after delivery, what happens? That the breast begin to secrete milk. How? Because you see, its synthesis is going to be stimulated by a pituitary hormone called prolactin. Okay. And the very function of the prolactin is that it helps in the very synthesis of milk. Okay. But at the same time, we know very well, at the time of parturition, the level of oxytocin in the blood is very high. Okay. And the moment the baby is born, so for feeding the milk, the baby has to suck the nipples of a breast. Okay. So once it is sucked, what happens? That message is transmitted to the pituitary for the secretion of the oxytocin, and oxytocin actually leads to contractions. Okay. And that in fact helps in the very flow of the milk from the breast. Okay. Another very interesting thing that is found in the case of human system, that the breast is going to have a inhibitory peptide. Now you see, the role of inhibitory peptide is very important, because you see it helps in matching the demand and supply, because the system has to ensure that baby should get enough milk, but at the same time it should not get more than the required milk. Okay, so what happens, that once the baby start feeding the breast, so the entire milk that is stored in a breast is going to be sucked. Till that time, the fresh synthesis of milk is not going to happen, and it is there where the inhibitory peptide performs its functions. Thereby it's checking the synthesis of milk at that point of time, right? One another thing is that it is an old saying, and I'm sure all of you know, that at the time of birth, the first milk for a child is very important. Why? Because it contains large number of antibodies, which is going to act as a passive immunization. Okay. So what happens, that the mother's breast contain a fluid called colostrum, and that colostrum is very important, that is going to provide some sort of passive immunity to the child, right? Now let's talk about the parturition. What is parturition? Just the birth of a baby. Okay. So at the time of parturition, what happens? That progesterone stops. The moment progesterone stops, what happens? Placenta dissolve. Placenta is the tissue through which actually the developing baby is attached. So once it is dissolved, what will happen? That the fetus is separated from the wall of the uterus. Okay. And at that times, the oxytocin is released from the pituitary. Now what oxytocin does, it induces intense contraction in the uterine wall, and once the intense contraction in the uterine wall is initiated, this is in the general term what we call labor pain. Okay, then the pain is started. Then what happens, that fetuses start moving towards the vagina, right? So at the same time, relaxin hormone is secreted from ovary and placenta. Okay, and the very function of relaxin is that it relaxes the pubic symphysis bone. Okay, so the pelvic bone is actually get some sort of relaxed to have some more path, so the fetus or the baby can easily move out. Okay, so after the secretion of oxytocin, the baby comes out, and this is how the birth is going to happen. We also know the very role of oxytocin, just now we have discussed that it plays very important role in the very process of lactation as well, right? So these are the two key things that is going to happen immediately after or during the birth or immediately after birth. Okay, so we can recap the things, that the parturition and lactation is going to happen with the help of oxytocin as well as prolactin under the influence of the pituitary glands, right? That's all for today. Thank you.